First up though, it's shootout time. 6 players, 1 shot, 2 playoff places up for grabs. First to go was the RAC Golf Club's Kevin Marchese with 95 yards to the pin and the rain still falling. A superb opener and certainly in with a chance. Next up, the big man, Chris Dyson, one of the most consistent ball strikers we've seen on this year's Trilby Tour. And the man from Goodwood Golf Club was definitely at the races. For Gary Barton, the pressure of the shootout to cope with and the fact he had his fan club in attendance, a big moment for the 14 handicapper. But one that he coped with admirably. The Isaac Walton Golf Club man had 1 foot in the playoff, and didn't the fan club know it? Those shots from the first 3 seemed to knock the stuffing out of the next 3. Minchinhampton Golf Club's Ricky Clartz knew it had to be bad news, almost on contact. Sand and out for Ricky. The Kingfisher Golf Club's Craig Blackford followed Ricky both into the sand, and with his hasty exit from the tee box, William was on hand though as ever with his version of consoling words.
This is not a nearest the green competition, guys, it's the nearest the pin.
Lee McNeil was the last man to go. Could he steal either Chris Dyson or Gary Barton's thunder? In the air, it looked like the Python man was in with a shout, but he overcooked it. So that left a smiling Gary Barton and his army of support to march into the championship playoff, joined by an equally delighted Chris Dyson. 4 men, 1 championship title. It's winner takes all on the Trilby Tour after the break.
Netflights.com, sponsors of the William Hunt Trilby Tour.
Welcome back to the Park Resort near Bath for more action from the Trilby Tour Championship of Avon and the South West. We've already had plenty of drama here with the shootout for the top 4, but now it's winner takes all playoff time. Just a few drops of rain left in the air at the start of this championship playoff, but the leader after 18 holes, Daniel Smythe, brushed that aside to get his tee shot comfortably away. Dad on the bag and Daniel swinging the clubs was looking like a dream combination. Scratch golfer Stephen Creed from the Max Stoke Park Golf Club also started confidently on playoff hole 1. Gary Barton certainly had the edge on support with his loyal band of followers cheering him into playoff contention, and the 14 handicapper kept his nerves under control so that they were able to cheer him off the tee box as well at hole 1. So far so good, with 1 playoff contender left to get his challenge underway. Chris Dyson choosing a tactical approach at T1, an iron into play. Followed by a sigh of relief at joining the rest of the gang safely away from the tee. Last away, but first to hit his second was clearly the plan, and with this belting approach, Chris began to turn the screw. Stephen Creed, though, appeared unfazed by the Goodwood man's gauntlet throwing, and he also joined the party with a cracker. Gary Barton tugged his approach, and although he had a shot on this first hole, it wasn't looking good after finishing well wide of the target. Well short of the target was Daniel Smythe's problem. He caught his second shot heavy, and despite a plea to go, it didn't. Wet sand putting a dampener on Daniel's title hopes early doors. Out he came though, and he was left with a chance to at least limit the damage at playoff hole 1. Gary Barton had a tricky third in terms of the lie, but plenty of green to work with in terms of the terrain. And he made the shot count. And so to the putts, Dyson, Barton and Creed all putting for the lead. Only Barton got his ball to disappear for 1 under, Smythe eventually dropping a shot. But the camaraderie between the lads was amazing as they headed for playoff hole 2, like old friends on a golf day. How long would that last though, with more pressure just minutes away? At playoff hole 2, Barton had the honour. A par 3 to an elevated green, never easy. But this was a decent attempt by Gary. And it was all looking good for the leader.
On the tee, in tied second place on level par after a regulation.
But it was then that the camaraderie continued in bizarre fashion. Stephen Creed dragging his tee shot wide. Chris Dyson very kindly keeping him company. Daniel Smythe certainly didn't want to be left out, so he decided to cosy up to Gary on the green. But come on lads, aren't you taking this friendship thing just a little too far? From the woods, Stephen Creed got back into play, but his work was far from done. While Chris Dyson provided us with playoff moment of the season so far, with this shot, his only bad strike of the day incidentally. And it proved that the golfing gods seemed to be smiling on him, and they weren't the only ones smiling. That shot was the moment that this playoff really sparked into action. Not our shot of the day for obvious reasons, but well worth another look. And just get a load of what William was thinking. Every picture tells a story. Creed responded, determined it wasn't going to be Dyson's day, and he made his up and down with a tremendous putt. Barton though fiddled on hole 2, not quite while Rome burned, but he missed his chances as all around him began to catch fire, going back to level and relinquishing his lead. Daniel Smythe, of course, had the line from right next to Barton's first putt, and boy did he use it. Nearly the most dramatic shot here on playoff hole 2, but in the end a good par to stay at 1 over with 1 to play. Daniel and Dad, very happy chappies.